Aloha, everyone. Welcome. So this class, hey Marcella, what a treat. Hi, Mom. Um, also a treat. And everyone here, super treat. On Sunday, I got to see a baby octopus swimming in the ocean, and her movements like really inspired me. And so this class is for her. It's also for all of you. Before we begin, let's do a little bit of breathing together with our strap. Grab your blanket if you need a little extra cushioning so you can sit comfortably. It doesn't really matter how you sit. If cross-legged's comfortable, you can go for it. And then the strap is going to wrap around the rib cage and cross in the front, in the bottom of the rib cage. And this breathing exercise is going to help attune us to our diaphragm. And so the diaphragm attaches to the bottom of the rib cage all the way around 360 degrees. And so the strap will follow that. So you want it on the bottom ribs. And then relax the arms down so the shoulders are relaxed and the elbows are tucking into the side of the body so they can almost rest on your body like a shelf. And then walk the hands in so you have a pretty nice snug grip with the strap around the diaphragm. And then make sure you can relax your neck, relax your shoulders. And you're welcome to close the eyes or gaze at a single point and start to notice how the breath interacts with your strap. And sometimes we breathe into the chest, sometimes we breathe into the belly. See if as you inhale, if you can ever so gently feel the hands coming slightly together as the rib cage expands. And as you exhale, the hands pull slightly apart. If you need more feedback between the strap and the rib cage, you can just pull a little tighter and then you'll actually have to work a little harder as the rib cage expands and as it contracts on the exhale. Start to notice that feeling of almost being knit back together as you exhale, and there's that tightening and that compression of the strap. As you exhale, the diaphragm domes upward, kind of like a suction cup. Sometimes you can even feel how that doming pulls on the tissue beneath, so you get some sense of tautness in the abdomen, even the space in the psoas and the hip flexors. And if you feel safe, see if you can elongate the exhale, almost like giving yourself permission to release physical tension, emotional, mental tightness. Start to notice how the fuller and more complete your exhale is, the more expansion you might start to get on the inhale. You might feel a little more movement with the hands. It's subtle. We'll just spend another minute breathing here, and if you feel safe as you exhale, you can even pause a little bit at the bottom of the exhale and feel that sense of support and integration of the diaphragm. And then what the strap is doing is just mimicking what your body naturally is already doing. Let's take a couple more breaths on your own. And then gently release the strap. You can place it out of the way so it doesn't get in your way. And take a couple of natural breaths and notice if you feel any freedom through the rib cage. Maybe the breath feels smoother after that work, fuller. And as we begin exploring movement, see if you can almost imagine there's still that strap around the rib cage, just helping you interact with your breath and your diaphragm as you continue with the rest of class. So slide off of any props. If you're following along with the musical playlist, you can hit play on the first track and turn over to your right. Make sure your ball is nearby but off to the side, and gently start to melt down onto the back. And notice if you have more awareness of the back of the body, especially through the back of the rib cage and where the strap was. Maybe you feel like a heightened awareness there, and just breathe and imagine the strap is still there. So as you breathe, you're not just feeling the chest and the belly, but also that back space and the side ribs as well. Walk the feet in, bend the knees, soles of feet to the mat, reach your hands towards your heels, and gently start to press into the feet to unweight the hips, and then set the hips back down. Do this several times, noticing a sense of support in the hips each time you lift. And if you don't feel that support, try walking your feet closer to the hips. Try walking your feet a little bit wider. Give yourself this exploratory space to press into the feet, lift the hips, and then release the hips and adjust the feet until you find as much support as possible in the ankles, in the knees, in the low back. And usually the feet end up about hips distance apart and just a few inches above in front of the sits bones. The next time you lift the hips, place your ball underneath your sacrum. That's the flat part at the center of the hips, the base of the spine, and just start to roll the hips from side to side, waking up awareness in the low back, waking up muscular support along the spine. And then slowly start to roll the ball, like slide the ball up 1 inch, a little bit higher, and do the same thing. And we're using this as a sort of a massage, but more importantly than that, to wake up more awareness. Kind of like after the strap left the rib cage, you could maybe feel more with the breath. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure you're not creating tension, but dissolving tension. Can keep adjusting where the ball is. It doesn't matter how many points you hit, as long as you're feeling more and more in tune with your body and your breath. And we'll just take one more moment here. So if there's a spot you really want to get to, Kirtan had a spot. Make sure you get there. And then gently press into the feet to lift the hips more generously. Slide the ball out of the way. And now release one vertebra at a time back onto the mat. And notice almost how like you're sinking into the earth. You might feel that receptive, absorbing quality of your yoga mat. And just let yourself land in that space. Feel any sense of nourishment. And one of my goals for today's class is for our movement to be medicine. And what this means is as we move from a detached place, we can really generate a lot of healing and nourishment. But it means we can't force things or have an idea of where we want to be or what our movements look like. So take a moment to set an intention for yourself. If you resonate with the healing practice, go with that, or anything else is fine. Maybe there's even something specific that you want healed in body, mind, or spirit. You can ask for that. And then making sure the feet are roughly hips distance apart, just in front of the pelvis. Reach the hands towards the heels. Gently start to press into the big toe and allow the knees to reach forward and slightly wide towards the pinky toes. Make sure the low back feels supported. Release the hips down. Take a few pulses, lifting and lowering any height that feels comfortable. But what I want you to focus on is imagining you're like a suction cup. And so as the hips lift, try to feel the whole back side of the body, from heels to back of pelvis to back of head, shortening to help lift you. If you're having trouble lifting, walking feet closer to your hips will help. And so each time the hips lift, almost imagine the back edge of the body is sucking up to meet the front edge. And it's not like a single muscle working, but just the whole body working in unison. If you've ever seen really any animal move, but today we're focusing on our octopus propelling itself effortlessly through the ocean. There is this sense of becoming like a suction and then releasing. Take a couple more, and then we'll be doing the opposite motion. I'm going to call it reverse suction. So the next time the hips lower, allow the knees to lift. Imagine you have like a sumo suit on and your legs are like humongous, and to wrap your arms around them, they have to be like this wide. Without touching the hands, without touching the legs, start to let the whole back of the body lengthen to reverse suction up. And then release down back into our suction cup bridge pose. And now we'll pulse between those two shapes. And as you come up into the sumo curl, try to feel the whole back of the body lengthen. And as you come up into the bridge, try to feel the whole back of the body shorten. If you want to sync this with your breath, you can play with exhaling up into the crunch motion and then inhaling into the bridge. Try to move really slowly and evenly, feeling every cell in your body support you as you come into the suction. And then the reverse suction, where the front of the body is pushing down into the back of the body. If you're not afraid of water, you can imagine you're in the ocean right now, almost like undifferentiated from the molecules of water. So fluid and effortless and supported and buoyant. And the next time you come into bridge pose, pause there and try to feel again the back of the body shortening. You might even feel a little work on the glutes, and we want that. Release the spine down. Bring just the left leg into the chest, and then come back into bridge and just notice what happens on the back side of the right leg. It probably feels a little harder. Now it has half as much support for the same amount of body weight. Take a couple of pulses here, just feeling that suction action just through the right side of the body. If it's too hard and it doesn't feel good in your knee, come back to double leg. That's totally fine. Lots of great benefits there. After you do a couple on that one side, switch sides. You might notice one side feels easier, one side might feel stronger, one side might feel a little shaky. Just take that information in without judgment. Great fluid movements, everybody. Bonus, I hear yawn. That means we're going into the parasympathetic state where healing happens. So it's okay to feel tired. It's actually a good thing to get out of that stress do mindset. Let's take one more suction cup with both feet on the ground and try to let this one be as effortless as possible. Again, imagine you're in the ocean and you don't even have body weight, right? You're just so light and buoyant. And then take 3 breaths to drape one vertebra at a time. back down to the earth. And this takes a lot of strength, so it's okay if you have to come down faster. Just be compassionate. And this one's for Marcella because it's her favorite movement. Let's roll on to the left side, or facing me if your head's pointed a different way, and close the knees and close the hands like you're a big book. And then with an exhale, allow the top knee and hand to lift like you're opening the book, and let it roll you all the way over to the other side, and then the book closes away from me. And take a few of these just to feel how integrated your whole body can be. Try to feel how the top half of the body, or the right side, pulls and rotates the left side. And you don't have to think about it. You don't have to tell your muscles to turn on. Your body knows what to do. You just need to allow it and let go of the mind, which is hard. And that's okay. And just take a couple more, doing as little as possible. And this is where we're our strongest, where all the cells in our body can work together as if they were a school of 80 trillion fish swimming in the same direction. And the next time you roll towards me, push into the top hand, slowly letting yourself come up to seated. Plant your hands over to the side and then drag the knees underneath the body. And Leica, for you, you might want to grab that cushion at this point and just support the ankles a little bit more. Everyone can also grab a blanket to place underneath the knees and the shins. Option here, if you have sensitive wrists, you're welcome to grab your ball and do a little massaging of the hand before you come into tabletop. Actually, we might as well all do it together, unless there's something else your body is craving, and then feel free to take a moment to do that. Apologies if you can hear the dog barking. She's protecting us. She's a good girl. And then if you are using the ball in the hand, slide it over to the other one, and as you place that hand that was just getting the massage down, notice if it feels a little more receptive or supportive, and give the other hand a little massage. You can roll up into the forearm a little bit too. There's no rules. There's not as much ball stuff in this class today, so if you ever feel inspired and you're craving it, just know you can always add that extra tool to bring more awareness to your body. And I'll give you, it's funny, this wasn't really a part of class, but everyone looks like they're having fun. So keep having fun for a couple more breaths. You all kind of look like cats right now. And just a fun side note, everyone's spines look really amazing and supportive, and I just want to comment, it's almost like sometimes when we're not focusing on a certain area of the body, it organizes itself really well. And then it's not until we get in our heads that we do weird, unproductive things. So just give yourself that space of trusting your body knows what to do, and you can allow it to happen without forcing. So from this beautiful neutral spine that everyone magically found, walk the hands underneath the shoulders, and let's find some of those suction cup movements by pushing down into the knees or the tops of the feet and pushing down into the hands to gently let the front edge of the body shorten and rise up to join the back of the body into a cat pose, but really trying to feel that suction. Can you guys feel that? Does that like mean something when I say suction? That's making sense? Okay, awesome. So take a couple exhales to allow that suction to increase. You can almost imagine like that strap is still around the rib cage tightening. And then keeping the suction, allow the pelvis to come back into neutral, and it should feel kind of hard. It should feel like it takes work to allow it to come neutral because the suction is almost trying to point it backward, if that makes sense. From that neutral, shift the weight forward so there's a little extra weight in the hands. If the wrists allow, it's okay if they don't. You could just keep weight in your legs. Try taking the weight out of one hand and then placing it back down. Exhale, suction. Inhale, keep the suction but come into your neutral spine, and then unweight the other hand. And now I'm going to give you a little play time where you exhale to find the suction and try to favor the low back. You don't need to round the upper back. We all know that's happening enough with computers and sitting and all that. So just round the low spine with the suction. Inhale for your neutral, keeping the suction, which is support on the spine. And then try unweighting a hand, try unweighting a knee. If you want more, I know a lot of you have done this with me before, extra weight happens if we bring the arm out to a T. It's going to put more force on the spine. Oh, I see a hand and knee simultaneous unweight. It's very advanced. Looks awesome. Another fun thing to play with here, again, if you're getting comfortable with keeping the core on, is as you unweight one arm, you can actually start to rotate the spine. But again, our number one is the suctioning of the core. So if you notice a bigger movement takes you out of your core, be humble. Come back to just that. Exhale, suction, inhale, neutral, and just a little unweight. Everyone is really crushing it, which is funny, like to say crushing it when it's like so subtle. Everyone's dissolving their ego. Awesome. Let's come to center. You can keep the blanket where it is. Watch me one time, and then you'll be doing this. You'll come into the suction, and sometimes it's easier on blocks, so you have the option for that. And then you'll actually be sending your hips forward to roll up one vertebra at a time, trying to keep that suction. So it's just like what you were doing before, but now we're extending the hips, which makes it harder, right? It's almost going to feel like you have to work harder in the core to allow everything to stay neutral as you come upright. So it'll be suction and then send the hips forward to roll up, and we'll let the arms start to follow. If you want to turn slightly to face me, you totally can, but we'll be taking a few of these, trying to take what you learned from the unweighting exercise and now almost letting it come through the whole body. The most important part of this whole movement is the tabletop suction, and then almost trying to memorize that feeling and allowing it. How are your knees doing? Are they? Oh, yes. Oh, that's great. Try to feel how as you roll up, imagine the arms are like an extension of your navel and you can't even feel your shoulders. If you're feeling the arm movement in the shoulders, it means you're reaching a little too far. Instead, you want to feel really integrated, like you're just one muscle moving. And everyone looks really good here, so I think we can move on to the next step, which is lifting your blocks to the highest height, moving your blanket out of the way, and actually doing the same thing from forward fold. So bend the knees deeply, hands to blocks, and then press down into the feet and the hands to suction the spine. Remember, it's more in the low back, right? We don't need to round the upper spine. And then push down into the feet, send the hips forward to roll up one vertebra at a time. And then the arms can do the same thing, but now imagine the arms are connected to the base of the spine. And so as you reach, it's just like the fingertips connect all the way down into the low back, and there's no shoulder joint to get in the way. And then circle the arms back, bend the knees, melt forward, and we'll do a couple of these. So suction and then roll all the way up. If you're following along with the playlist, you can go to the next track And then I want to give you a little space to explore here because we've done a lot of forward and back movement. And if it's feeling good, just keep doing that, especially if this is new stuff. If you want to start adding in a little rotation, push a little extra into one foot and then let the opposite arm reach forward, up and back. And then we come back through center. You can do a few on one side, or you can go right away to the other side. If there's something else the body's craving at any time in class, please follow your intuition. Only your body can tell you what it needs. The next time you roll up, pause at center, move your blocks out of the way, and grab your ball. Face me. Anybody want to drink water? Well, why not? It's always good to stay hydrated, so if you've got water. Satyam, is this the second track? I can't hear it. Maybe it just starts a little slow. Okay, cool. Maybe let's just go to the third track. Oh, online folks, you can do that too. So kind of like we did with, actually let's start in Tadasana. So just saying hello to your feet on the ground first. Feeling the support of the hips, feeling the length of the spine. Take a little hinge forward at the hips and then find the section in the low spine like we've been playing with, and then send the hips forward, keeping that section so you have a nice supported Tadasana. It's not extreme. It's not like navel to spine, right? It's just this like kind of like when we were breathing with the strap, and that exhale allowed the strap to tighten. Try to keep that support now as you shift the weight into the right foot. Bring the left foot to the ball. Little bend in the right knee. You want most of the weight in the right heel. That's extra important for you, feeling more of the support into the back of the leg instead of in the front of the knee. And then once you're supported in the right leg, you can start to play with the left foot, just pressing, rolling around a little bit. And then imagine the ball is like a high heel on a shoe. You can place it under your heel, and depending on the springiness on your ball, I think all of us should have like a little bit of give where you can take a couple of heel bounces on the ball. And just make sure there's no pain there. You know, if you have a lot of tightness, is everyone good with this? Looks like it's going well. Okay. So we're going to play with a little bit of balancing. If that feels scary to you, you're welcome to do it without the ball or over by a wall. So fingertips can be on the wall. If this feels safe, put a little bend in your left knee, but keep the bouncing on the heel. And arms can be at a low V, but active, so there's that muscular integration of the arms. Start to tune into your breath and let the exhale slow down. Imagine, again, that tightening of the rib cage as you exhale, that full, complete emptying out. And then play with kicking the right leg forward. Slowly start to tip the hips forward, and as the hips tip, the leg comes behind you. You can put the right leg down at any time. Slowly come back up. This time let the right knee bend. It's okay to smile. It's okay to wobble. Oh, that was an awesome wobble. And now the next time the right leg starts to kick back, let the hands reach forward a little bit, kind of like a counterweight. And then come back up, knee lifts, arms down. Leg kicks behind you, arms reach forward. This is your playtime. So if one feels really interesting, you can stay there. If you like pulsing between the two, just make sure that you don't feel the arch of the left foot collapsing, and you don't feel pressure on the inside of the knee. If you feel that, anchor the big toe and point the knee a little wider so that you feel more activation through the standing leg, especially the glutes. And then after your next one, step off of the ball and just let yourself be for a moment and notice how the left side of your body feels. And it's actually really important that it feels good because if it doesn't, then I'm afraid that that was too much and it was strainy. Is anyone not feeling great? Any joints cranky? Okay, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Okay, so I'm going to take that to mean everyone feels awesome. So just feel into the left side of the body and notice if you're able to literally be present all the way down into the sole of that left foot. Maybe you could even right now, if I gave you some clay, you could, with your eyes closed, sculpt your left foot because you can feel the arch, you can feel the toes, you can feel the heel. Silence. We'll go through that same process on the second side. And my hope is, because you know exactly what's coming, the mind can just turn off, right? You don't have to worry about what's next or think about it. You get to just be in it. So we start with the rolling. Make sure the left foot feels stable. I do that by anchoring the toe, bending the knee a little bit, and then actually even externally rotating the thigh so that the femur hugs into the hip socket and you get a little extra support from the glute. And it's not dramatic. You can remember the suction cup feeling, can remember the strap. So everything we did in class, almost imagine the body has a memory for it. The hands can do whatever feels useful for your balance. If you want to lay a little extra weight into the ball, you can. Just make sure you're not hyperextending into that either knee, really. And then you put on your high heel shoe and take some bounces and try to feel evenness underneath both ankle bones. So you don't want to feel a lot of space on the inside of the ankle, but really support on the inside and the out. Little bend in the knee. Feel the hamstring pulling down on the base of the pelvis so it's nice and stable. Nice. And then when you're ready, play with balancing on that foot, and the other is just a little tippy toe. Remember, little bend in the knee. And then arms reaching down or wide is going to help with balance. You can find a drishti, steady gaze point, and just kick the left foot around a little bit. And you can stay in that organic exploration or start to come to bending the knee, arms down, kicking the foot behind you, arms reach. My favorite thing about doing this mini Virabhadrasana 3 with the ball is that I can really feel the support on my right leg, up the right heel into the right hamstring. And it stays really strong even as the hamstring lengthens in the forward fold, which a lot of us have trouble staying strong as we stretch, right? It's usually one or the other. Wow, that's so nice. Can take one more. And then step off of the ball. We won't need it for the rest of the standing sequence, so you can move it off to the side. And again, let yourself just be and notice if something as simple as just literally standing up can feel interesting when you have woken up so much awareness of body and breath. Imagine the mind, imagine like the space of the third eye, like a giant vast pool or ocean. You can even turn around and look at it if you're lucky enough to have that option. Just feel calm and reaching in all directions. And we'll put everything together in our octopus flow. So let's start. I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what my spine's doing, but you can keep facing me. So anchor the big toes, bend the knees, little reach back with the hips. Start to brush the backs of the arms forward and allow the spine to suction like we've been. Now can you really feel how it's octopus? Okay, took the whole class to get here. And then arms brush back. Come either into Tadasana or tippy toes, whichever the body's craving. My tippy toes just felt so awesome after the ball work, so you can appreciate that. See, this is what you have to do before the next wedding, right? You just massage your feet and stand on balls for a while, then you can wear high heels all night long. So take a few of these octopus pulses, and again, imagine it's like your whole body doing this movement. And so you don't feel it just at a single joint, but really the whole back edge of the body supporting the front, and vice versa. This is an exciting moment. We're getting propane delivered. So the next time you're rounding, shift the weight into the right foot, and notice how easy it is to glide the left leg back. The back heel will be up, but the hips stay squared naturally. You don't even have to think about it. And then slowly lower the back heel down, and the back toes should be mostly forward naturally. And then straighten the front leg, equal weight in both feet. Wag your tail a little bit just to make sure you're relaxed. And if this feels tight or unbalancing, let the back foot walk out a little bit wider. We'll go through that same action with starting straight legs, suction cup. Again, I'll go to the side. And then bend the front knee as you do the reverse suction. Legs straighten so you can push into both legs, drawing that energy up to support the spine as you round. And then let everything open. Take a couple of pulses like this, trying to use the legs to increase the suction power. But again, staying gentle and fluid, being one with that ocean energy around you. And the next time the knee bends and the arms float back, pause there and notice the work that's happening in the glutes. Do you feel that? Do you feel like a little engagement just to help level the pelvis here? And then imagine you've got your strap. Try to exhale and feel that integration, and see if you can feel how the core and the glutes are starting to work together. Without moving anything in the spine, carry 2 cakes in front of you. That's for you, Jamie. Chocolate chip cake or whatever that was. Slowly start to lift the arms and feel the shoulder blades drawing down as the arms lift. And then notice how you get to a point where you want to do this, but because you're not, the upper back has to work harder. Can you feel that? It's like a strengthening between the shoulders because they're fighting against, well, I don't want to say fighting, they're pulling against the strength of your core and the strength of your glutes. Take a couple of breaths here. Bend into the front knee without shifting the weight. If it's uncomfortable, come out at any time. If the shoulders feel intense, you can come out anytime. Everyone looks really good here. Keep remembering that suction, right? So the glutes are going to work against the core, and then the core is going to work against the T-spine, the thoracic vertebra. And so now start to shift the weight forward, and the arms float back. Again, equal weight in the feet for now, so you're not shifting the weight completely. And take a couple of those octopus movements. And let this be as fluid as possible, because we just did our strengthening Virabhadrasana 1 with a lot of activation, so I just want it to kind of melt away in this moment. And the next time you round, then you can play with shifting forward, letting the back leg lift. And if you liked that work in Virabhadrasana 1, well, actually, let's first pull the knee in, a little bit of rounding, and then, wait, let's see here. And then hands forward, lengthen. Take a couple of pulses, kind of like what we did upright before, but now you're tipped further in. Make sure to anchor the right big toe. That is going to be the key to your stabilization here. And the next time the leg reaches back, plant it down, turn the feet towards me, bend the left knee a little bit. Just take a nice twist to the left. And then push into the left leg, straightening up in slow motion, heel toe, the feet underneath you, relax the arms, and just absorb that sequence. And then we'll go through the same thing on the second side. So it starts with our octopus, just gently rounding, brushing the hands forward, and then sweeping them back. And try to get out of the way here so there's no sense of pushing. Just imagine being in the ocean, completely natural. An octopus is just living, it's not efforting. Try to feel how the legs and the spine and the arms can work together. If you want a little bit more here, you can come on to tiptoes. And the next time you're rounding forward, gosh, I've changed directions so many times now, I'm confused. Is the other leg going back the right leg? Yes, thanks guys. Okay, so the next time you're rounded forward, keep all the weight in the left leg. Draw the right leg back, hips stay square, and then gently release the back heel down. Straighten the front leg, take a moment for that equal weight and support. Anchor the big toes, little bend in the knees so you feel buoyant in the pelvis. And then with the straight legs, start to brush the arms forward, suction cup. And now with the legs straight, see if you can really feel that sense of energy drawing up into the spine, allowing you to tuck the chin and find space in the back of the neck, and then bend the knee, sweep the arms back, and then let the whole front of the body unfold. And take a few of these pulses on your own, and less is more, because as you do less with the mind, the body naturally connects the dots, and you actually will find, oh, I'm feeling more stable, or maybe you even start to come further effortlessly because you're not doing it from the mind. You're just allowing that unfolding. And the next time the knee bends, pause there. And we'll take a moment for our Virabhadrasana 1 with all of that integration. So it starts with suction cupping through the core, and then carrying your cakes. And then as you start to lift the elbows, notice that the more the arms lift, how the core starts to work a little bit harder. And when you get to the top, see if you can start to use the space between the shoulders to lengthen the spine without arching, right? We don't want this. That's not doing any good. We're really trying to hold everything together here. And then the more you lengthen from the upper spine, the more you get a lot of strength here, but also a lot of strength in the core. And the more you lift up and back, bend into the front knee and feel that equal pull. Take one more breath. Breathing is most important thing here. Make sure the neck feels relaxed yet strong. And start to shift the weight forward, but back toes stay down. Plug the front heel in so you don't feel pressure in the front of the knee. Same cue as before, that I hope helps you. And then float the arms back and take a couple of octopus here. And notice if you can feel that suction cup. You can sync it to the breath, exhaling as the arms go forward if it helps. The next time you round, if you want to shift forward into Virabhadrasana 3, you can. You can hold steady. You might feel really strong. You might be craving stillness. You can also add the pulse we did before, where the knee curls in and the arms hug your big sumo leg so it can't actually touch. And then they reach as your little stinger leg comes back. And we have one more moment here. If you do want to enjoy stillness in Virabhadrasana 3 and you haven't yet, you can even add on those pie arms, feeling the glutes, the deep core, and the space between the shoulders. And then let's set the back leg down, pause, and enjoy a moment of stillness or enjoy a little walk. What I love so much about Virabhadrasana 1 is it literally is mimicking a healthy step. And so sometimes when we walk after doing a sequence like that, you can almost integrate those neurological pathways. You can walk in place, that's creative. You can jump across someone's mat. That's sort of fun. And then we can make our way back to our mat. Feel free to grab some water. You can go to the 4th track. And because this is our last moment standing, I just want you to notice how your joints feel. I think sometimes people come to yoga as like a workout, but really yoga is to rewire our physical body and our nervous system so that you feel really nourished and healed, and then you can work out or work in or do whatever you want to the best of your ability. And so just notice if you feel supported, nourished, if your joints feel healthy, if your muscles feel supple. And maybe it's something you'll continue to notice for the rest of your day. And to come to the floor, we'll be coming through Malasana, which I like doing with a block. It feels better in my knees that way. You don't have to use a block. If you really don't like Malasana, you could even do this in a chair. But take a second to grab whatever you need and then step the feet wider than the hips. Let the toes turn out a little bit. Bring your hands to your heart. Malasana usually bothers people's knees, and so think of it almost more like a chair pose where you're reaching the hips back and you're creating a lot of strength in the calves and the hamstrings so that there's no pressure in the knees. You can allow the arms to swing forward as the hips reach back and then come up a few times and almost imagine like the back of your body's like a rubber band and you're like pulling it long and then letting it go. And as you repeat that, notice if it gives you a little bit more space to come deeper into the squat in a way that feels healthy. And then eventually, and it can take as many pulses as you want, allow the hips to come down to your support, or if you're not using a support, just make sure you don't feel any pressure in your knees. We are going to do a little bit of work here, so you might have to eventually bring your hips down to the floor if you're not using a prop. Anchor the big toes, knees wide, and feel how that activates the outside of the thighs. You can bring your hands to the outsides of the knees, push the hands against the legs, and then as you anchor the big toes, do it again and let those two forces meet, and notice if you can use that to sit a little taller without any tension. And then start to rotate the weight around the sit bones. So those are the 2 points that are at the base of the pelvis, contacting your block or whatever you're on. And there's so many muscles that attach to the sits bones. So as we circle here, yes, we're giving them a massage, but we're also waking them up. A lot of them lie dormant. And I find as I do this, I actually like to have my legs start to change positioning. So give yourself that permission if it feels good, but I'm not trying to get a deeper stretch. It just actually is helping me explore more. So And you can start to almost like melt the body as you rotate, letting the spine articulate. You don't want to feel pressure in any of the joints, but after all the core work, I think you have enough support that you can start to be soft without creating compression. If you've been circling, change directions. You can allow the head and neck to start to get involved. And then before we finish, let's add a little side bend. So right hand to left thigh, lift the left hand, and then push down into the bottom arm to start to propel the body over to the side. Imagine the arm is connected to the hip, and you're just stretching the outside of the hip. I don't want you to just feel it in the rib cage. It's really limiting the benefit that you'll get. You can even start to push the leg into the hand and feel how the leg connects into the side body stretch. And then inhale, float up, big receptive vessel here. And then whenever you're ready, you can go to the other side. And the arms just connected right into the hip. And the more you reach over, the more it opens that outside of the right hip. And then we float back up again. Find that hang time in center. And the shoulder girdle just lands on the rib cage. You can even gaze up a little bit and bobble your head around. And then slide off of your blocks. They will be an option in Shavasana, so you can keep them close. We have a couple of minutes before Shavasana, so if there's anything that the body's craving, this is like yogi's choice time. You can do anything you want. I personally love the back massage that we started with, so I am going to go for that myself. Oh, but we did a lot of glute work, so a really fun thing here could be a figure 4 on, yeah, I'm actually going to do this instead, on the ball. Sometimes the outside of the hip here or the back of the hip. And you don't want to think, you want your body to be really receptive when you're working with massage. So if you find a knot, it's not like just like lean into it and push as hard as possible. It's almost like sneak around it. Give yourself space to become receptive. And just be aware of your wrists here, because it can be a lot on the wrists, so make sure that the hands are feeling supportive and there's no strain in the shoulders. Can be a nice tricep strengthening exercise. And then I never want it to be over, but eventually you can switch sides. I'm finding that having both feet down is just as beneficial as the figure 4, so if that's more comfortable, go for it. And then when you eventually feel balanced, you can remove the ball. Feel free to do a couple of butterflies just to relax everything you were just massaging. And I've really been enjoying having this extra support in Shavasana. So if you want to try it, soles of feet together, knees wide, and then the blocks actually go higher than you think. I like to do them at an angle so that the flat part is contacting me instead of the spine of the block. And then you really want the Thigh bones to feel like they're being guided into the hip socket. We're not trying to do a deep hip opener here. My legs are only at like not even at a 90-degree angle in relation to one another. So pretty chill. And then if that doesn't feel good, other options are rolling up your blanket and placing it behind the backs of the knees. If you want to try it but you don't know what I just did, give me a little wave and I'm happy to help. You can pause your music and take time if you need a warmer layer or dim lights or an eye pillow or anything special like that. And we have lots of props here, so if you want any of those things and you don't have them, give me a wave. I can grab it for you. And notice any sense of harmony you feel. Like all of the cells in your body are pointed in the same direction. And you don't even have to know what that direction is. Just notice any sense of balance and support that can allow the mind to relax very deeply. At this point, the breath can be completely effortless. You've done great work with your breath, so you can trust that it will flow the way it needs to. And as you relax, imagine you're going into the spaces between the cells. And this very subtle glue that holds everything together. And while we're in this parasympathetic state, this relaxed space where energy, literal nourishment can go into our organs and healing and regenerating. Same thing can happen on an energetic level. And so whatever your intention at the beginning of class was, just take a moment to feel that almost like a seed planted in each of your cells. And the seed is planted, you can let it go, you don't need to do anything. And each breath is just like watering those seeds effortlessly. The only thing you need to do is be open to that possibility and just stay as conscious as you're able to in this moment with no judgment. And we'll rest here for 10 to 15 minutes. And this is where the real healing happens. And so now I'll give you that space. Start to notice your breath. Notice any space in the body. Notice any space in the temples and the forehead and the third eye. Notice any space in the heart center. Imagine leaving everything else behind and just taking that spaciousness up to seated with you eventually. And you can take your time with this process of just beginning to breathe space through the cells, through the body and the muscles and the joints. You can make gentle movements and imagine everything that you do is nourishing you, supporting you, all of those cells moving in the same direction towards the same goal of your highest potential. If your legs are still in Baddha Konasana, when it feels right to you, eventually use the hands to guide the knees together and take some time hugging the knees into the chest and feeling everything coming to center gently. You might stay still there, or you might enjoy a little bit of rocking or circling the knees. So take your time with any of that or anything different that the body craves. And then begin to visualize the most radiant version of yourself seated in meditation, just beaming with light and joy and any other qualities that are sparked for you. And then imagine that vision of yourself like a magnet that just pulls all of those qualities out of you as it literally draws your body into that position. You don't need to rush. Just feel that pathway starting to unfold naturally. And we'll meet seated in meditation. There are meditation cushions here, so feel free to eventually get up and grab one if you'd like. And you can truly be a completely different person after Shavasana. And so give yourself that space to transform and take only what you need with you as you arise. That might be comfortable. Satyam brought a cushion just in case that's more comfortable. But, And so on Thursdays we've been working with the ancient text called the Vijnana Bhairava, And we'll use dharana number, is it 8? Number 8 for our meditation. And so I'll say the whole thing first, but then I'll repeat it a few times, phrase by phrase, because I find when I work with it, I like to almost be with each part for a few moments before going to the next part. So the whole thing is attention between the eyebrows. Let mind be before thought. Let form fill with breath essence to the top of the head, and there shower as light. And so now phrase by phrase, and actually I'll let people settle in a little bit and just make sure that with all of the positive work you've done in the body, that you feel very nourished in this position. So if you need to grab extra props, that's okay. Even not having the tallest, most perfect spine is okay, because sometimes that creates stress and tension. So just giving yourself the space to be where you're at with love. And again, the dharana, attention between eyebrows. You can take a couple of breaths with that. Let mind be before thought. Let form fill with breath essence to the top of the head. And I'm going to give you extra time for this one. And the last part, and there, referring to the top of the head, shower as light. And I'll repeat the dharana phrase by phrase. Attention between the eyebrows. Let mind be before thought. Let form fill with breath essence. Let form fill with breath essence to the top of the head. And there, shower as light. You're welcome to continue to shower as light. You're also welcome to keep your focus on the breath. Almost just keep the energy of your experience, perhaps a feeling of radiance or dissolving. Let that energy now just connect to the breath flow. Imagining that each breath is helping you reveal more and more of that radiance, which is your true nature. Don't have to construct it, just unearth it, reveal it. It's already there. And to help with that process, you can use the mantra hum with each inhale, sa with each exhale. A mantra to help you realize that perfect inner space. We have a couple of minutes left, and I want to finish with rolling ohms. And this is where you repeat the ohm sound at your own pace. Doesn't have to sync up with me. Satyam, can you go to original sound? And you can chant at any volume, but try to make at least an audible ohm so you can feel those vibrations. And so just begin by allowing the breath to fill and release, preparing the lungs for your chanting. And then whenever you feel ready to join in, you can.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste. And you're welcome to continue to meditate. If you want to try to come back, it can be helpful to bounce a little, shake a little bit, feel your body. And I hope you feel very fluid through the rest of your day, supported by all of your cells. Thanks for coming online and in person. Good to see you, Mom and Marcella and Roseanne. And thanks for practicing. Yeah.